Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. So as promised in a previous video, I'm going to use one of these fans to cool this PC, and I'm really excited for this. So if you've been watching the past few videos that I've made, you would know what this is all about. So I basically made my own DIY CPU water block. So for that, in the other videos I explained how I did it and how I built it, and also I did some testing. So in the previous video I compared it to this aftermarket air cooler right here, and then I also said I want to test it with delta fans. So what a delta fan is basically is they normally use it in servers, so the wattage is just much higher because in a server environment you need that reliability, and just these things, they just make noise. They are not like for home use. If you put this in your computer right next to you, you'd after like 10 minutes you would go insane. So let me quickly show you why this is so powerful. So this is a normal computer fan, 120 mil, as you can see there. Both of them are 120 mil, but the visual difference between them is you can see the thickness here. So this one is also about 25 millimeters thick, while this one is, I believe, like 30 mils thick. So this delta fan is about, oh, it's actually more, it's about 38 millimeters thick. Now let's look at the other difference, and here's actually where the major play comes in. So looking at the normal 120 mil fan, on the back it actually says here this is a 12 volt 0.3 amp fan. So if you do the calculations with that, is I believe it would be around 4 watts that this fan can draw under like maximum RPMs, like full speed is 4 watts. Compared to this fan, which is also a 12 volt fan, but this is a 3.3 amp fan. So this fan can draw about 40 watts. So that's 10 times more than this fan. So theoretically this fan is 10 times more powerful. The best thing is I don't have one of these. I actually have 2 of these, and I'm planning on using both. So I want to do a push-pull configuration on this, and then I want to put in back the water cooling loop, and then obviously put these 2 fans on the radiator. So for, obviously because it's a dual 120 mil radiator. So let me turn these on and just show you how loud they actually are. So let me just make some space, because these are actually quite dangerous. You could lose a finger if you put your finger in here while this is spinning full speed. So I would not recommend you do that. Okay, so these fans, they don't have a standard connector for like Molex or something. So what I did is I just cut the wires and wired in my own Molex connector. So I'm going to plug that in now, and then I'm going to hold down the fans while I'm turning on the power supply, and I'm just going to turn this like so. So I'm going to turn these like this, and then I'm going to actually hold them down because this is the safest way, and then I'm going to turn it on. So I want you to listen how the fans start up. It's like sort of like they like store up energy and then suddenly release it all. So here we go, 3, 2, 1. And there they go, full speed. And they move quite a bit of air, like right here. They move a lot of air. Let's switch them off. Alright, so there you just heard these fans, and I hope in the video you can it represents actually the power of these fans. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take off this fan, and I'm going to put these 2 fans in here in a push-pull configuration, and then I'm going to do the testing again. After that, I'm going to take this cooler off, put in back the water cooling loop, put these fans on the radiator, and then do the testing again, and then I'll be back with numbers. So yeah, it'll just be a second for you. For me it'll be quite maybe an hour or 2. Alright, I have the 2 fans installed here, and at the moment while looking at this, there is actually more fan than heatsink here. So it's literally like all of this is just cooling for one CPU, and it isn't even such a high-end CPU. So let's turn it on, and then you can actually hear for yourself how it sounds. is quite bad. I'm going to test this now. Okay, so I've just finished testing the Delta fans on the aftermarket cooler, and that was really an hour of pain. These fans are really loud, and they make a lot of noise, especially when you have to listen to it for like an hour. But anyway, I took that out again. I have all the data I need. The next thing is I wanted to put this on this radiator. Now the problem is this radiator has its own screws. Now this is very tiny. There it is. Basically, it's really small screw. Like this is smaller than the screws you use to like fix a SSD or something like that, or like a hard drive. This screw is smaller than that, and not only that, the threading on here isn't the same. So my problem I have now is this screw is so short that I cannot put it through basically the frame of the fan, and then I have enough sticking out the other end so I can fasten it into the radiator. So I have a bit of a problem. I have no way of fixing the fans to the radiator, so I cannot test it on the water cooling loop. Well, not today. I first have to go and search for screws that are a little bit longer than this. But I can show you the data that I've got from the aftermarket cooler, and I think it is actually quite interesting. So let's take a look at that. Alright, so right here we have the graph for all of the testing with all of the temperatures on. So as you can see, these are the stock cooler, the DIY, and the aftermarket one. Those are in the previous videos. I explained that, what the temperatures are and all of that. But basically, if you look at the graphs, the first column would be the idle temp, the second one will be just a single Cinebench run temperature, the max temperature, and then the last one will be a 20-minute, a continuous 20-minute stress test, and the maximum temperature right there. So if you come down here to the Delta fans aftermarket cooler, there you can see the idle temps was actually 29, and this is right about in the middle between all of the others. So this compares basically directly just to the aftermarket cooler with the normal fans on. So this is quite interesting. If you look at the single Cinebench run, then there you can see the max temperature was actually 52. So he came down with about 8 degrees Celsius right there. And then on the 20-minute loop, it was 53. So that was just like 1 degree more. And it was basically the same. It also just 1 degree more right here with the aftermarket cooler with the normal fans on. Okay, so now we have looked at the graph and just some of the information, the temperatures, and now so let's quickly talk about if you should do this and if it's a good idea. Well, first of all, these fans take 10 times more power than a normal fan, and that if you run your computer like 24/7 all the time, then you might then your electricity bill will definitely stack up at the end of the month, especially if you run this 24/7 all of the time. These fans, however, can be controlled through PWM. So actually these ones, the ones that I hooked together, I actually made another lead for them, just one like this, and this can plug onto any PWM header. I'm not exactly sure what the pins are called, but there are 4. So the first 2 are basically power. Then there's I think it's duty cycle or something like that. So it says how much the fan should be on and off. And the last one is just the feedback to see how fast the fan is actually spinning from the fan side. So I have made this lead, and I can actually plug this in onto any of the PWM headers, and I can control this through the motherboard, the speed of these fans. So then they are quieter and they spin slower. But they really do make a lot of noise, and they aren't actually just meant for like a normal, just a home setup. However, if you're running this in a server, and let's say this is your file server for your work, and you really need you need your drives to last, you need it to be always, your server always there, up and running, no issues with it, no overheating or anything like that, then Delta fans obviously makes a lot of sense, because it is in your server environment. They're normally densely packed, just like this one I have down here. It's not on camera, but that also has Delta fans in it, but just a small ones. I think it's like 60mm Delta fans. And because there's so much hardware crammed into this server, the fans need to literally force air through it. But in a case like this, it's much more open, so normal fans would be absolutely, they would just be perfect for that case. So I would not run this 24/7. Maybe if you're doing some extreme overclocking, once in a while you get a new CPU and you will see how far can you push this, what is the highest the Cinebench score you can get, or yeah, just something like that. You just want to basically push your hardware to the maximum and just see what the best scores you can get. Then this isn't such a bad idea, because this really, it gives you the cooling you need. This forces a lot of air, and the pressure from this is really great. So you can run this on radiators, and even high density radiators. It will just blast air through it. Like these fans, when I turn it on, they wanted to start hovering just from the force that they're putting out. They can't, because these fans are actually quite heavy, so they don't lift off, and I'm quite happy for that, because if these fans lift off and they catch your fingers, somewhere in your body, in your hair, it'll be a nightmare. Yeah, that's all for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I can test the other two fans on the water cooling loop soon. I'll definitely want to do a video on that. But for now, that is all from me. Remember, there's merch down in the description below, the first link it should be. And also go check me out on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, just for some maybe behind the scenes stuff, or if you want to get in touch with me. And also leave your comments down below of any future videos you want to see. Maybe there's some other crazy things you want me to test, or yeah, you're just wondering about tech stuff. Like I did a video a while back about what PCIe 3.0 versus 4.0 is, and do you actually need it? So yeah, maybe go check out that. And then I'll see you in the next one, guys. But until then, take care. Bye bye.